On April 23, 2026, GPT-5.5 landed, and within 24 hours, it had topped the Artificial Analysis Intelligence Index with a score of 60, breaking a three-way tie between OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google that had held for weeks.
But that benchmark result is almost beside the point, because the biggest shift in this release is not a number on a leaderboard. It is what OpenAI is now selling. They have stopped building a chat model. They are now building something totally different. And in the next 7 minutes, you will know what GPT 5.5 really is, what OpenAI just changed, where GPT 5.5 beats Opus 4.7, and where it gets beaten, plus a specific verdict for certain professional categories where this choice actually has consequences.
First, what GPT 5.5 actually is, because this is not a routine version bump.
This is a full pre-training run. New data, reworked architecture, and agent-oriented training objectives baked in from the ground up, not layered on top of an existing model. OpenAI finished training in March 2026 at a Texas data center running on over 100,000 GPUs co-designed for NVIDIA's latest GB200 and GB300 systems. The model was codenamed SPUD internally. Why does the pre-training distinction matter? Because post-training refinements, which produced every version from GPT 5.1 through GPT 5.4, can improve behavior but cannot raise the ceiling. A full pre-training run changes what the model is fundamentally capable of. You will see exactly where that shows up in the benchmarks. GPT 5.5 is live in ChatGPT and Codex for Plus, Pro, Business, and Enterprise users. A higher-powered GPT 5.5 Pro version using parallel test-time compute is available on the 3 paid tiers. Pricing: $5 input and $30 output per million tokens standard, $30 and $180 for Pro. One important caveat as of this recording: the API is not yet live for production developers. You can access GPT 5.5 through ChatGPT and Codex only. Claude Opus 4.7 is fully live across all major cloud platforms from day one. For teams with real shipping deadlines, that availability gap matters right now. Talking about the benchmark reality, the capability improvements are real, and in some categories, they are dramatic. Start with token efficiency. OpenAI claims GPT 5.5 completes Codex tasks using roughly 40% fewer output tokens than GPT 5.4. The output rate has gone up, $30 versus $15 per million tokens. But if the token reduction holds on your workload, the effective cost per completed task can actually come out lower. The key word is can. Measure this against your real work, not the headline claim. The benchmark result that genuinely stood out was long context performance. MRCR v2, which tests multi-document retrieval and reasoning, went from 36.6% to 74.0%. That is the score doubling in a single model generation. Post-training iterations from GPT 5.0 through GPT 5.4 barely moved this number. A new pre-training foundation is what made that leap possible. Then there are the agentic benchmarks. On Terminal Bench 2.0, autonomous command line task execution, GPT 5.5 scores 82.7 against Opus 4.7's 69.4, a 13-point gap, the largest single-category difference between these two models in either direction. On BrowseComp, multi-step web research across multiple pages and sources, GPT 5.5 comes in at 89.3% versus Opus 4.7's 79.3%, a consistent 10-point advantage. On OS World Verified, General Autonomous Computer Operation, 78.7 versus 78.0, effectively tied. The pattern is consistent and intentional. GPT 5.5 was built for agentic work involving terminals, browsers, and computer environments. The product positioning and the benchmark results are telling the same story.
And now we have what OpenAI has changed with its approach, the agent positioning shift. Here is what most of the GPT 5.5 coverage missed. Every major OpenAI launch since GPT-4 led with the same language: capability metrics, benchmark scores, reasoning improvements. GPT 5.5 launched differently. The official pitch was this: give it a messy, multi-part task and trust it to plan, use tools, check its work, navigate ambiguity, and keep going. That is not a capability pitch. That is an outcomes pitch. They are not claiming it is smarter, they are claiming it finishes the job without you managing every step. That shift is deliberate. OpenAI is repositioning from a chat completion API to an agent runtime, and the 6-week release cadence makes the urgency visible. That is product launch speed, not research speed. They are trying to lock down the agentic enterprise category before competitors get there first. The competitive backdrop makes the urgency understandable. Anthropic currently holds 32% of the enterprise LLM API market versus OpenAI's 25%, a reversal from a year ago, built on Claude's growing penetration into enterprise workflows. GPT-5.5 is the direct response. At the same time, OpenAI confirmed serious scale at launch: 900 million weekly active users, 50 million subscribers, 4 million active Codex users, 9 million paying business customers. The distribution is enormous, and this release is designed to convert that distribution into enterprise market share. And now the part a fair review cannot skip, the honest section.
But before we move ahead, we would like to know which AI model you prefer the most: Claude, ChatGPT, or Gemini? And would you upgrade to the new models just launched? Do share your choice in the comments. And subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any latest AI news and updates.
On SWE Bench Pro, real-world multi-file software engineering, Opus 4.7 leads by 5.7 points. On MCP Atlas, which directly measures agentic tool invocation precision across automated workflows and coding agents, Opus 4.7 leads by 9.2 points. If you are building production agentic systems where tool call accuracy and complex code-based navigation are the core requirements, GPT 5.5 is not the benchmark winner. Opus 4.7 is, and the gap is meaningful. The launch also had a rough moment around usage limits. An initial 200 messages per week on thinking mode for Plus users triggered immediate backlash, later raised to around 3,000 per week. OpenAI moved quickly, but it exposed a recurring tension. Frontier capability at consumer price points means compute costs and user expectations are always in conflict. The API gap is a real practical constraint. Developers cannot build production applications on GPT 5.5 right now. If your team is shipping in the next few weeks and needs API access, that decision is already made for you. One piece of financial context worth having: OpenAI is projecting a $14 billion loss in 2026 and is actively preparing for an IPO. That does not invalidate the technology. The capability gains are real, but companies in that financial position make product and pricing decisions differently. That context matters for long-term infrastructure commitments. So, here's the verdict. Choose GPT 5.5 if your work involves computer use automation, multi-step web research agents, terminal-based autonomous workflows, or high-volume codex work where the token efficiency gain produces real cost savings at your operating volume. Choose Opus 4.7 if your work involves complex multi-file software engineering, production agentic systems dependent on precise tool invocation, financial reasoning, and knowledge work, or if you simply need full API access right now to ship something. If cost is the binding constraint, the open source picture is worth a moment. Meta's Llama 4 Maverick scores 91.8% on MMLU and 91.5% on Human Eval at roughly 15 to 27 cents per million tokens when self-hosted. For budget-constrained teams, that belongs in the decision. The race between these two models is not resolved by this release. They are genuinely strong in different categories, and the right answer depends entirely on what your work actually requires, not on which launch announcement made more noise. We are conducting concise and thorough deep dives into these blockbuster AI models, and we are doing it rapidly. So hit the subscribe button and stay in loop with all the new developments happening in the dynamic AI world. And if you want to see how much GPT 5.5 and Claude's Opus 4.7 really differ in capability, watch this head-to-head comparison video showing up on the screen right now. See you there.